In today's episode, we're talking to a 16-year-old that in just 2 months went from $10,000 a month to $70,000 in a month.
I joined like end of February, pretty much 10K a month. First month in the program hit 57.5K. April, I did 7.
We talked a lot about how the best way to make a better product is just to bring in more people as possible to your current product.
At 10K a month, it's like you just don't statistically have enough clients to be able to know what you need to do. I had so little clients that it was like there's too much variance to actually identify what the problems are. What can I help out with?
And he also broke down how for him, hitting high revenue months really doesn't have to be that complicated.
Super basic. Like just focus on marketing and sales. I mean, at least obviously depending on your revenue level, but I think like just so many people like overcomplicate it, you know, like you need to just sell, you need to just market more.
All that coming up in today's episode. What I want to do, Oliver, is let's just jump right into it. We have a little running joke in our company where, or I guess to add some context, we're jumping on like 20 minutes late onto this interview because you actually had to close a deal and go in and close them up and get them onboarded and stuff. And we have a joke in the company where it's like, hey, if you're late to, like, if you have a sales call that rolls into a meeting and you're late for the meeting, they gotta close, like, or you're in trouble. You're getting written up, not really, but yeah, dude. So let's break down just high level, just jumping into it. What is your offer? What is the price point? And then, yeah, let's start there and then we'll dive into the call.
Yeah. So we help basically audio visual and like home theater, automation, whatever you want to call them. We help those kind of companies basically get more like high ticket projects, more leads, more clients through basically Facebook ads, running Facebook ads for them, doing their marketing, things like that. And the offer is 7K for 4 months.
Nice. Okay. So, and how are you guys generating calls right now? Like people that to talk to?
Just paid Facebook ads.
Sweet. Nice. Okay. So let's dive into that call. So what was, I know it went a little bit longer than, than the hour. So what do you like, I guess, how did the call go? Just based on your experience.
I mean, it closed. So I don't know. It closed.
Yeah.
I mean, it went well. Reason it went over is because it was a guy. I don't know if it was a guy and his wife or it was a guy and so it was like him and his CFO. I couldn't tell if they were married or not. I don't want to ask them because I felt that would kind of be weird if they weren't. So it was like them. I think they were married. But basically what happened was there's a little bit of like uncertainty there just because they had obviously done a little bit of things before in the past that failed. And as well, their finances were kind of tight right now. So, obviously something that's fucking $7,000 plus ad spend. That's like, they also have to pay the ad spend. It's a little bit much, obviously. So they basically like, there was like 5 minutes where I did because they had to like talk it over with each other. So like, rather than just, being like a bad closer and just like letting them make a whole nother call and all that, I just straight up was like, hey, I got to run to the bathroom anyway. Like, I'll just literally flip the camera off, just mute my mic, and they just started talking about it right then and there. And then handle the financial objection because it was just finances the entire time. I knew that it was. I knew that from the beginning. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's a ninja move because most like, beginner closers or people that are a little bit, they're not actual closers, right? They let people off too easily. They'll be like, all right, let's like set a follow-up for tomorrow or set up a follow-up for next week. But you set it up to where it's like, hey, you guys got to think about it. Okay. Or talk about it. Cool. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and, get to it.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess for people that are listening and because I want people to be able to pull different like insights and stuff from this. So what do you feel like is your superpower, I guess we'll say, when it comes to sales? Like how long have you been doing sales and like what do you feel like, what do you think is like the best trait in your sales calls?
So like I've technically been doing sales for 2 years technically, but like that was like my idea of sales. Like I used to like sell like items on like Roblox. I used to like play Roblox. I'd like sell like items to people on Roblox over like Discord. So like that was like me starting off in sales. But it was 2 years, 1.5 years. Biggest thing I think for me is always growing up. I was always somebody who was very like abrasive. I just tell people things like how it was. Like I never really like held back, I should say. And it's probably been the biggest thing is I've noticed, like, especially after being in like STA and all that in the group, like I listen to a lot of the sales call recordings that there are in there. Biggest thing most people just struggle with is like, they're just never willing to hold someone accountable at the close. They don't call people out. And as well, they try to avoid the uncomfortable truth, right? The more uncomfortable truth to most people is that your prospect doesn't actually care about the money or they don't actually need to think about it. They're just uncertain if they even want to do this or not. And so like a lot of people just don't confront it. They don't tie down properly. They don't address the right issue. Like I feel like most people would start at handling objections, not because they started handling objections, but as they don't know how to figure out what the real objection is, or they don't want to confront it, So I think that's probably just the biggest thing.
So if I'm a prospect on a call with you and I say, and I'm just trying to like the audience watching this, I want them to be able to pull stuff from it. So like, if I'm on a call with you, we go through discovery. What is your go-to if I'm just like, hey man, like I just really need to think about it?
After discovery, or you mean after the price is on the table?
So that's a good question. So let's say after the price.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is like you guys teach tie down, right? Like, I don't like whatever they give you. Literally, you give them the price, they give you anything at all besides that I'm going to buy. You always say, okay, no worries. like just diffuse the sales pressure like you guys teach. And then like just everything I do, by the way, just I copy what you guys teach, honestly. So like if you're watching this and you think that I'm good at sales, just buy the program. But basically you just say like, no problem. So aside from objection, so yeah, aside from that, you want to take some time to think about it. Is there anything else? Do you even feeling less than 100% about the process? You just because like you just gotta make sure they want to do it, right? Like you can't handle an objection. Like you can't handle an objection if they don't actually want to do it, because like uncertainty is the first thing you have to kind of root out. So you just do that. It's basically like paste in the first objection. Then from there, after you do that, you honestly, when you do that, by the way, I've found like most of the time they just give you the objection. They say, yeah, I do, but like they just give you the objection right then and there. So like there you go. You found the objection. But if they don't, then something like it depends. Honestly, it kind of like sales very contextual, but something I like to do is very basic. Just be like, okay, no worries. And just so I can kind of like accurately prepare something, for you, obviously, between now and when we have to speak, so you can have something to think about. What specifically are you kind of hoping to like think about? And just clarify. I just genuinely ask. Like a lot of people are so afraid to just ask, like to clarify. Like a lot of people just try handling objections. They don't even try clarifying. It's like such an easy, like quick win is just actually like clarify like what's going on. And most of the time when you just do that, you get the objection. And then you just actually handle the objection. You literally ignore it as if they ever said it. Like, I have so many people that'll like tell me when they say anything about like, I never make decisions on a call. Like, I always take time to think about it. There's no way I'm paying to like, know I made a decision. And then 5 minutes later, I get the correct. You know what I mean? It's like they just forget. It's so fake. It's a BS. It's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, dude. It's funny. I used to do like door to door, like solar sales,
Yeah.
and those were like the best people, like people that said that they weren't going to buy today, and then people that specifically had like no soliciting signs. Like those were my like signs, like literally pun intended. Those were like signs that were like they are going to be really easy to close because at least this is what I think is they have like no soliciting signs and they say those things because they know they just buy everything. So they're like, I don't even want to be in the situation where I have to buy something because I'm probably going to do it.
I need to get one of those. I buy too much.
Yeah. So there was one thing that you said in there that was good. Oh, the fact of like, you want to challenge them on these things. Cause a lot of times, like if someone says, right, I need to think about it, what they've seen in the past, like based on their experiences they think that that's like a golden like line that they can say that they can get out of it. But as soon as you say like, so like what specifically do you need to think about? Like no worries and like diffuse the pressure is they kind of just have to give you the objection because they don't know what to say and they can't come up with something fast enough to be like, oh, like, and then, drop another excuse. Yeah. So I think you hit the nail on the head, right? It's like, just ask them and be genuinely curious on, what the issue may be. Yeah. So let's reverse the clocks a little bit because I do want to kind of get a little bit more of your story of like how you got started in general. Because I mean, dude, you're 16. How did you even get into like building this business in the first place? What businesses did you try? Like maybe just go back. I was gonna say like go back a couple of years, but you'd be like 12.
I'd be an infant.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I started, I don't even know if I'm allowed to like say his name. It was like, Andrew Tate, like the bald kickboxing guy. I saw him everywhere on my social media. And so like everybody, I was like, oh, I want to make money online. This is so cool. Yada, yada, yada. So I actually joined this program.
This was what, probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago. It was when I was what was last year? Last year's 2023, end of 2022. So end of 2022, kept seeing his stuff. So I actually bought his It's funny. I initially tried buying his program beginning of 2022. I didn't have any money or a card. We were like, no, this is a scam. You can't buy it. They were like, this is such a scam. So I waited a couple months. I got my own card. I got a little bit of money. And then I bought it. His Hustlers University is like $50 a month. And I was in there for like 4 months. And the way I started off was as like a copywriter. And I think copywriting is great. And I think it's an amazing skill. Honestly, I need to get better at it. But the way they teach like the most basic thing ever. The like DISC, like hook frame, like they teach you the most basic things ever. They tell you like just bombard people with emails, like tell me to write emails for them monthly. Like so I spent like 4 months doing that, made $1,200. Like ROI technically, like to be honest, like there's not much you can expect from $50 a month communities, to be honest. So I did ROI, did amount on it. Then after 4 months, I left it. And so one of the guys I had met in there, one of my friends, his name's Tam. I met one of my friends in there, and he actually was doing the same thing I was, and he stopped doing it to do this thing called SMMA. Because there's these guys on YouTube blowing up, like Joel Kaplan was really popping off at that time. Same with this guy like Thomas Dunnett. If you ever seen him, he's been in the SMMA space. These guys were getting big like on YouTube at that time, blowing up, showing like how easy it is, like you like use GHL, sell Facebook ads to your clients, all that stuff. And so he got into that space, my friend, and I was like, wait, this actually seems like a better idea. Like, it seems like something you have a bit more leverage with. So I kind of just followed him. I copied kind of what my friend was doing. I was like, Don's SMMA, started cold calling people. So I just started off because I had no money, which I deeply regret. I just started a business with no capital, but I just started cold calling people basically like when I was not in school. And then when I was in school, I was like DMing people on Instagram. And so I did that for a little bit, found kind of a niche I wanted. And then I just did that for a couple months, basically struggling with everything, struggling with sales. Like I looked so young back then, but even as well, I just didn't know what I was doing. Like I was in no coaching programs. I had no money. So I just spent months just struggling with no cash at all. I was trying to like outsource my entire business to like VAs in like Pakistan, like things like that. So I had lost
Yeah.
any money that I would make. So it was like 6 months straight of just not making any money. Like maybe made $1,000. And then from there, I kind of hit a little bit of a stride. I had a nice week where I did like 4K in a single week. And then that from there, once I did that, I started running kind of paid ads. So I started actually investing money into Facebook ads. It was like $50 a day. My costs were super fucking good. It was like $50 per qualified appointment, probably less than that, to be honest. And that was, I didn't even know what I was doing. Those are the most trash ads ever. And so I was obviously profiting a lot on that because my costs were just so low because I was barely spending anything. So I did that and I got to 10K a month pretty quickly with that in like the summer of last year. Then from there, I was stuck at 10K a month until about the beginning of this year. So towards January, February of this year, I was stuck at 10K a month. Basically, I just wasn't spending enough on ads. I actually went to Tanner Chittister. He did like a thing where he does like, that brings people to his house sometimes. They can get a free
Yeah.
like coaching session with him. So I actually did one of those as I moved to Miami last summer. So I went to his house for 2 hours and he basically just told me you need to spend more on ads and you need to get better at sales. And I didn't listen to him for another couple months. So that was in December and I didn't listen to him in until like February because my acquisition cost was like $400. I didn't realize it. So I was spending barely anything on ads. And then finally
The
February came
same
around.
price point.
No. I was 4K.
Okay.
No, it was 4K and then I upped it to like 5K. And as I was going through all of this, I was slowly increasing my price as I went on. As I got somewhat better at sales and as I got more conviction and more social proof, I was
Yeah.
just increasing it over time, kind of, which I think is kind of a good way to start out. And so now I was doing that. I was just stuck, like I said, I just wasn't spending enough on ads. I wasn't good enough at sales. Then I started to get a little bit better at sales. I also joined at that time. I joined last like November and December is when I joined my first two like coaching programs. I joined this one coaching program. It was like 5K. The problem was it was all group coaching. It was like these guys who were really good at like running an SMMA, but like they don't know how to kind of build like not that they don't know how to build a coaching business, that they were so busy with their SMMAs they couldn't fucking coach you. So it was just like
Yeah.
you paid them, you joined a group, you had like 1 or 2 calls a week maybe, and all they talked about was like, and also as well they didn't spend like it was all like them talking about like they were all in the medical space. So it was like how to get results for your medical clients, and the course was like barely anything in it, and it was still good by the way because like since nobody was in there, I could basically just get one-on-one coaching from them. So it's still good. I don't regret any purchase I've ever made. Honestly, I don't like to live like that. But I did that. It didn't really help out too much, but still don't regret it. Learned a lot. And then also I joined another program called Joel, like Agency Lab, Joel Kaplan's program. Everybody hypes
Yeah.
that program up a lot. I mean, I'll be 100% honest. I love Joel. Joel's a great guy. I love Sergio and all them, but yeah, that's not much else. That's about it. And then just a
Yeah.
bunch of people in there, like, they're like basically just VAs in there. Like it didn't work. About February was when so early this year, January is when I found Cole. I found his YouTube because a friend of mine sent me his video about like one simple question and 2 extra 1 call close, like the can I ask a personal questions video. And I was like, wait,
Yeah.
this guy actually like knows what the fuck he's talking about. And I kept seeing him on my TikTok. Like I had TikTok back in the day, and then I started going into more of his content and realized that it was really good. And I was like, wait, this guy knows a lot. And so then I started digging, and I was like, this guy makes fucking millions of dollars a month. Like I thought 100,000 a month was a lot of money. This guy's like, I'm poor. You know what I mean? So I just started watching his content. And I realized how big he was. I also realized how like most of the gurus I looked up to just learned from Cole. Like most of the people just use Cole stuff or have learned from one way or another. So I was like, why don't I just buy his program? And I was on the fence for joining for like a month. Like I didn't book a call because it kept saying in the ads like for coaches and consultants. So I was like, I don't really do that. But then one of his VSLs, the short form funnel accelerator, that VSL is so good. I watched it. And at the end, he was like, if you're unsure this can help, like you should still just book a call anyway. That one line was like why I booked the call. So then I booked a
Nice.
call, and then I hopped on, and then I had it was funny. The guy that was my closer, actually, Benson, was Tanner Chittister's brother. I was like, oh wait, I actually know your brother. And so I mean, I was late on sale. I mean, I literally told the guy because up until then I watched every video on Cole's channel, and one video he has it's like an hour long where he goes over the entire sales process top to bottom. It's like best sales script in the world. I watched that video like over a dozen times. I would just watch it on repeat. That was my sales training, Cole's YouTube channel, and it worked honestly. I got up to like somewhat decent close rate doing that, and so I got hopped on the call. I was late on obviously. I consumed all your guys' content. I was there to buy, so I bought, and then I got in. I started tracking my numbers. I started spending a lot more money on ads, and obviously started getting better at sales. And then, yeah, in March of this year, that's when I really blew up 57.5K. And that was with me in high school as a one-man show. Only expense was 9K in ad spend. So that was like 50K profit as a one-man show in high school. So that was kind of life-changing. I'm not gonna lie. That was like a crazy month for me. Like,
Dude,
so yeah. Yeah,
let's go. That's
that was a,
such a good
yeah,
story, man. What were
that
you gonna
was a
say?
fun month. No, I was saying that was a fun month. I was like in the gym. Like I have a guy call me back that I had to think about it earlier today. Calls me when I'm in the gym. He's like, "Yo, I'm ready to piff." And I just like collect the piff when I'm in the gym, and that puts me over 50K. I'm like sitting in the dream. I'm like sitting in the dream, like silent. I'm in the gym, like silently streaming myself, like, "Fuck yeah, let's go." I like, don't want to like bother anybody. Like, yeah.
People overheard you and they're like, "Oh, he must have hit a PR," and it's like, "Nah, I just closed 7K."
Yeah. No, back then it was
Dude, that's
5K.
awesome.
I increased it to 7K like a few days ago. It's working. So yeah.
Nice. Sweet, man. Yeah, I do want to dive, more into like, STA stuff and specifically there, but I am curious just what you said of like, and honestly, this conversation is even good from like a marketing standpoint to figure out like, you said like, oh, you watched this specific video and the VSL, this line, helped you make the decision. But what were like, I guess, where were you when before you started like consuming Cole's content, and then were you able to use like the sales script to like actually close deals before you jumped in, or was that more of like a
Oh yeah.
catalyst to make you jump in?
Before no, before I got in, like, and I've sent this to some of my friends who like for some reason refuse to join STA. I'm like a sales rep for you guys. Like I'm like trying to convince everybody I know to join STA. And like there's still some people that are on the fence. I'm like, just watch his content. And so like some people just use that as their sales training. That's what I did. And it actually works. Obviously I mean, joining the program, the course, the group, the one-on-one's way more in depth, which is what I like. Because like I said, I joined that one program before it was with that big group and all that. Like this guy is infamously known for giving away all of his stuff on YouTube, but like he does it to an extreme. Like his YouTube is better than his paid stuff. Like that's like a little too extreme. You know what I mean? Like I'm paying like 10 grand to be in your program and the YouTube's better than it. So like that was the thing I liked about Cole was his YouTube was still great, but his program was like way, way better. And so yeah, I use that to close deals though. I like to consume content from someone if they have it before I buy, and I can just kind of tell. The biggest thing I think with Cole stuff is that like it made me realize how much money's out there and like how easy it is. Cause like I was like I remember like Cole was talking about his story, like when he started like the business, like he like did like 250K in his first month or something, like off of just like a Facebook group or whatever, or something like that. I don't know what it is obviously,
Yeah.
but like it was like crazy because I'm like sitting here and I'm like from all the people that I've been around up until now, like they're like worshiping like 100K a month. It's like it's gonna take you 5 years to get there, and when you get there, you're gonna be like this teen investment made, like all this. You know what I mean? It's like, but then I look at like people like Cole and like people that he's helping. I'm like, this is literally nothing. Like it's funny how they refer to 100, like Cole refers to 100K a month as like other gurus refer to 10K a month. Like it's just a baseline, it's a floor. You know, it's like, and I think that was it. It's just leveling up your way of thinking, realizing there's so much more money out there to be made. Because I used to be so small minded thinking that was a lot of money and thinking that like you had I thought like it would take a lot of time to grow a business and that like 100K a month is so far out of reach. And now I realize it's like nothing. You know, it's like
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's huge. I mean, you hit the nail on the head of like it's, what's that saying? It's like you are the 5 people you hang around with. So like if you're constantly in this group of people that are like, "Oh yeah, I made like 7K this week or made like 3K this week," or stuff like that. It's like for someone that's just getting started, I think obviously it's one thing. You gotta crack that 10K, and then you gotta crack like, subsequent numbers after that. But once you can be around people that, like you said, are talking like, oh, 100K is just like, that's what we do in 3 days. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, it becomes more achievable, and they're like, okay, it just opens up your mind more to like what is actually possible. Okay. So I guess that transitions into, obviously you jumped into the program. So what was like your experience jumping into STA, and like how quickly did you get up and running? Who's your account manager? How did that process go? Just kind of the intro stuff.
Yeah, so I joined I was onboarded pretty quick. I got access to so I joined on a Friday or closed on a Friday, and then I got access to the course that night. And so I literally dedicated, like I had my whole weekend. I just blocked the entire weekend off, and I spent literally 2 days straight. I consumed the entire sales course. Like every single video there was, I consumed the whole thing in that weekend because I was like, I need to go through this immediately. Like I need to learn this. And I was actually eager to go through it. I was like, this actually is like enjoyable to go through. This is like genuinely an amazing course. And he formatted it amazingly. So I went through the whole thing in a weekend and immediately just started just going through it, actually practicing it and like just going back and improving on what I need to go through and just memorizing everything as much as I could. So I mean that part alone, like immediate quick win, like within the first 2-3 days of joining, are kind of like it felt a lot different. And then I had my onboarding call like on like Wednesday with Temple and all that. That call was super great. Basically just highlighted that I was being a bitch. I need to spend more on paid ads. And so, yeah, just basically is ramping that up, getting better at sales. Then I booked in like a call review and everything. I started tracking my numbers. That was actually one thing underrated. I never tracked my numbers before getting into SDA for some reason. So that's like obviously not good, but you guys have really good trackers in there for tracking like actual close rate, tracking your actual like ad numbers. Like one thing as well is like I thought I was like somewhat decent at closing. I thought I had like an 18% call to like closing rate, but I realized that 18% closing rate was literally 18% offer to close. And I was counting closes as like, I literally counted some closes that getting someone's card on file or like getting like $100 deposits. You know what I mean? So like I was at like a negative close rate almost. Like I was bad. I didn't realize it though. And so like joining, having like actual numbers, knowing what's going on in my business was super helpful. And same with the ads, like actually being able to see my numbers and see my ROIs and or my ROIs and everything. Super helpful stuff. And then yeah, I got these one ads. I paid this blonde chick I know, or this woman named Emily basically. She got referred to me by a friend of mine, and she had done a bunch of other people's ads that I'd seen in the space. And so I paid hers like $2,500 actually. And I paid her to make me like, I gave her some hooks and some body and like a body. So I got like 9 ads of her. And I literally
Some
used
like
the first,
UGC.
yeah, UGC, but she's like really good. And
Yeah.
so she had made ads for me, and then I literally ran the first ad I got from her because I was like urgently, I just wanted to get an ad up. The hook literally is just like need more leads. It was just like need more leads. It was the most basic hook ever. And I ran that ad for 2 or 3 months straight, pumped like 20, 30K into it and made me like over 100K. Like that ad like printed money for me. And so that ad as well is like really big because before then my ads were performing okay. Because I was not the best on camera, not the best in the videos. So when I paid her to do it and then I had really good editing coming in, that really kind of skyrocketed me and like just blew me up. So I had a really good ad, a lot of spend behind it, and then just tracking and dialing everything in. And then also I had spring break. So what happened in March was I had spring break. I had 2 weeks straight off of school because I went to like a private school, so you get big spring breaks. So it was 2 weeks off of school. Like I started off March and I did like 10K in the first 2 weeks, and then the 2 weeks I had off of school, I did like 40 or 50K. You know, and so like that, like I was
Yeah.
just like every day I was just on calls. Beginning of the day to end of day on calls 7 days a week. And every time I wasn't on calls, I just was listening to your guys' training in my headphones, like everywhere. Because I listened to like what Cole said, you want to listen to it as much as possible. So I just did that. And yeah, that was it.
Nice. A couple of things you said in there that I think are things that hold a lot of people back. So you mentioned that you had a conversation with Temple and he said you just need to spend more on ads. What was like the limiting, not maybe limiting belief, but thing that was holding you back from just spending more? Because in theory, it's like an easy thing. It's like you just go to Facebook ads and you
Yeah.
just type in a higher number per day. But what was the thing that was holding you back?
It's just scary. Like, cause yeah, it's just scary seeing that money. Just what it is like, yeah, it's just scary seeing that money leave your bank account, honestly. Because like it doesn't come back to you immediately. Like it's like it's gonna leave my bank account. I don't know if it's gonna come back or not. And because back then as well, like I had some capital built up. I had like 10 and 20K like in the bank account. So like I had some, but it wasn't the best, obviously. And like obviously I needed like I could have more. And so it's just uncomfortable seeing it leave your bank account because like my billing threshold is like $900. So like going
Mm,
from getting billed by Facebook every week to getting billed by Facebook every like 3 days was like that's kind of scary.
yeah.
So that was really I just literally I was just scared of like spending money to be honest. But like when I really took time to like think about it, like what is the worst case that happened? What is the best case that could happen? Like what else am I gonna do with my money? Like realized it was really nothing. And I just spent more. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was just scared of spending money.
Yeah, I think it's more, I don't think it's necessarily being scared to spend it is obviously a big part of it, but I think more than that is like you said, it's the delay that happens and then
Yeah.
also just not being super confident in like at the time your sales skills probably, right? Like you were
Yeah.
getting better, but when you're more confident on that side, it's just like it kind of just becomes a game, right? It's like how like
Yeah.
literally like the game that a lot of people, that hit certain levels is just like you like physically can't spend more because you don't have enough creative or you don't have, a lot of those other things because you already built that system up. So I'm sure like how do you feel now on like that whole thing? Like are you still kind of in the
Yeah.
same spot? Like I just want to spend more. Like how you feel now?
Well, I mean, it's still uncomfortable. Obviously, I mean, it's never supposed to be comfortable though. That's like one thing I've also learned. Like, I mean, obviously, after going through you guys' trainings, like that's like literally like objection handle, like, and as well, like obviously, like Temple told me it a bunch. It isn't supposed to feel comfortable. Like, I don't think it ever should. At least if you're spending enough, like as much as you need to. But yeah, I think you like kind of hit on as well. Like with the sales part of it, it's just like it's uncomfortable spending that much because then it's like you have these calls on your calendar, and so there's so much pressure to close them because it's like when you think about it, if you take time to think about it, it's like if I don't close this call, I paid like $400 just to be on my calendar. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
$300, however much it is. And so it's like I'm staking 300, $400 on this call. And obviously it's more scary when you're not really that confident being able to close. So yeah, I agree. And also just, I don't know, it's just seeing the money leave your bank account. Like, cause like Stripe
yeah,
payments like take like a couple of days to get in. And then on top of that, the ads themselves take a couple of days to ramp up and then down, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like that
yeah,
delay. Like,
for sure. So one thing you touched on like that, the UGC thing, because that's something that we definitely jumped in on about maybe closer to a year and a half ago and just really figuring out like, okay, I can make an ad, Cole can make an ad, but then if those work, then we just like give it off to other people to do as well. So like, what was your process of writing the ad and then getting it off to somebody else to record?
well, I just copied your guys' ad. I just looked at your guys' ad and just kind of copied the script. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Um, I have people commenting on my ads, Cole Gordon. Like I have people that commented on my ads. Like that's how like fucking accurate it is. So I just should have copied
Yeah.
your guys' ads, honestly. The hooks were super big. I mean, I knew a little bit about copywriting. I knew a little bit about making hooks because I'd obviously been learning some of the stuff and testing a bunch. So I just
Yeah.
kind of came up with a couple hooks, kind of just off the riff that I thought would work. And then the body was pretty simple. I literally just copied you guys. So pretty simple stuff there. Yeah, honestly, I don't even know. Like I just knew like a somewhat basic level of like how to write ad hooks. So I kind of just did
Yeah.
that.
So little quick tip for you guys, just steal our ads. I mean, people do it all the time. We made it's funny at the time of we were thinking about like what we should name this podcast, and we almost named it "Or You Don't Pay" just as kind of like a joke, because that like if you
Yeah.
look at any ads, it's like people are like we basically created that hook of like "Or You Don't Pay," and now like literally everyone in the industry uses it. So we're trying
Yeah.
to figure out from a marketing standpoint what other guarantees can we make, and like we've tested other things, but just it still pops up the
Yeah.
"Or You Don't Pay" like guarantee. So that's funny. Cool. So as you're going through the program and as you're scaling up, so what was like because you came in and you said in February or March?
Like end of like closer to the end of February, right
End
before
of February.
March.
Okay. So end of February, you come in, Temple like talks to you a little bit. What was and then you said March was like a massive month. So what happened in between that time that allowed you to scale so quickly, do you think?
I literally just spent more on ads. I had ads that started consistently working. Before then, if I had ads that would work, they'd only work for a couple of days. Because one big thing as well that I actually learned from STA, this is something I forgot about, is that you guys also talk a lot about how you target. Like you need to go very open with your targeting. Because beforehand, what I was doing, I was literally just targeting like a list, like that I had scraped and like literally just a
Mm.
list of my niche or like a lookalike. I was doing very small audiences because like, oh well, this is the highest quality and the lowest cost or whatever. But like every time I would scale, my frequency would get to like 17, like my cost would skyrocket. I'd be like, what's happening? Like I need to fix my ads. But just targeting. And so literally, I
Yeah.
took it to the extreme of I literally stopped doing targeting. I just ran broad. Like just straight
Yeah.
up to remove everything, just did broad targeting. And that was a big thing
Yeah.
is that allowed my ad to had to actually last for a while on top of as well already having an ad that was performing. That was a big thing is like I said, that ad sustained me for so long. And like that was the big thing as well, is I just starting to do open targeting. That way I can actually have ads that are going to run forever and ever and ever, or at least last a lot longer than they were before. Because that
Course.
gave me the consistency I needed to where I didn't have to go into the ads manager updating ads. Like it
Mm.
sucks when like every day, like you're like trying to go into your ads manager, like how are the results yesterday? Like what do I need to change? Like do I have calls on my calendar? Like it sucks having to do that. So like not having to worry about that was a big thing that being able to target like super open gave me. And then as well, like I said, having those consistent files on my calendar after spending a lot of money and then just getting good at the sales part of it, honestly. Just like actually learning how to get good at sales, collect money. I collected a lot of PIFs in that month, which is something I wasn't used to doing beforehand because I sucked at closing and like collecting PIFs. So that was a big thing as well, was there a lot of like pay in fulls. That was a big thing that I just never was really used to because like I said, sucked at closing. So I always like I had limiting beliefs around collecting PIFs. Like it's so hard to do. Like I see these people closing PIFs, I'm like, no way, like all this stuff. And so once you kind of do it for yourself, like kind of just feels great and it becomes a lot easier. So yeah, it was basic stuff, just sales, marketing.
Yeah. And do you like do you think there was anything specific, or was there anything specifically that helped you get better at getting PIFs?
PIF specifically, well, I mean, first off, just actually pitching the price as a PIF, like not like a lot of
Mm.
people, even if they do that, like the prospect will ask, well, is there a way we can split it up? They're like, yeah, we can split it up for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just not like
Yeah.
bending for stuff like that. Like, just being so firm on like this is a pay in full price. The only way I'm going to ever split it up is if logistically you can't afford to pay in full. Like, just being firm,
Mhm.
like having that kind of belief and that attitude around it. Being very good about that, and then also as well for what's it called? For as well, one big thing is that I used to beforehand, the reason I was stuck for so long is because I focused so much on fulfillment. And like, don't get me wrong, I love my clients. I'm still trying to get better at fulfillment every day. Like fulfillment's super important. But I was stuck in this like trap basically of like, let me try to figure out how to get better at fulfillment, how to run ads better, etc. When in reality, the problem was one, the clients. The clients were a big part of the problem. Like I was not setting good expectations and they were not doing the work on their end.
Mm.
But also I was just worrying about it too much. Like I feel like at 10K a month, it's like you just don't statistically have enough clients to be able to know what you need to improve. And I didn't. I had so little clients that it was like there's too much variance to actually identify what the problems are. What can I help out with? And so literally I had like March and for April when I did 70K, I had those 2 months that I just straight up like I didn't even feel like, as bad as it sounds, I like didn't even focus on fulfillment. Like there was no CSM, there was just me. I would reply to clients when they reach out. I'd try to check in with them as much as I could. Like that was about it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. Like I love my clients, by the way. I don't actually mean that in a bad way and do that for bad intent. I always would just come onto the calls with the belief of like me closing this person is good for them and it's good for my clients that I have. because the way that I can serve my clients right now is not by focusing on them, as weird as it sounds. That's a big thing I think a lot of people get trapped in, is they try to focus so much on their clients and so much on fulfillment when you just don't have enough clients. You know what I mean? At least in the agency space. I mean, obviously, like for a coach, like, teaching people, like, fat moms how to get fit, like, I mean, it's pretty easy to fulfill them if you've already done it before. But like for us, it was more of like, we need more clients to actually know how to do this.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. I got trapped in that for a while, but stopping focusing on fulfillment so much and just going sales and marketing heavy was really big.
Yeah, that's huge. I want to just focus in on that point because I think that's where a lot of people are, like, probably live, is like you said, is like when you bring people in, is you want them to get good results. But sometimes in order to get them better results, you need to focus more on sales. So you bring more people through the system, and then you can like make the system better, right? Make the fulfillment better on the back end. Because if you're only bringing, a client a month or 2 clients a month, like that feedback loop of what's actually working for them is so long, and it just takes you so long to iterate. So, yeah, just to, double down on what you said, it's like sometimes you just have to like bring a ton of people in, almost use it as like a test batch, but still like, do it in an ethical way. Like, I think that's the most important part, is like you said, the intention behind doing that, not just like make a ton of money and people not see success on the back end. So yeah, that's huge.
I feel like you're doing like your clients at a disservice almost by not selling enough people. Like, especially with something like the Facebook ads, like what we do, like only in one niche, like we're running ads for people. Like, it's not like the more, like if I manage 50 clients that I'll spend 2K a month on ads, or if I manage 1 client or 10 clients that spend 2K a month on ads, I have 100K a month worth of ad spend to test out in this market what's working, versus 20K a month in ad spend, let's say. Right. I'm doing a disservice by not having more clients to be able to test faster and more and better. And also as well, one big thing, this is more of like a weird like niche thing. I used to offer area exclusivity to my clients. Like, I wouldn't work with multiple people in the same. This is like if you guys only worked with like one fitness coach, for example, like per like niche or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, I did that for a while, and with my industry specifically, it's too small to be able to do that. Like, offering area exclusivity, like California specifically, like that's a huge market. That's where a lot of clients come from. Like the guys that just got off with flows, they're in California. Like everybody that employs is like in like one of 4 like states. And when I offered area exclusivity, I was turning a lot of people away. I was only just turning money away because I can't get them results. And like, it isn't ideal to work with multiple people in the same area. Like, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's like I have to do it to be able to run my business. And like, if you still put enough work, you can get them results. So that was also one like big thing, because a lot of agencies tell you like to offer area exclusivity, et cetera. That kind of messed me up for a while.
Yeah, I think that because when I started, I started my first SMMA, right, marketing agency in like 2017, and I kind of had that same idea. I think, if a guru is teaching you that, obviously they have to frame it in the best interest. So like the way that it was framed to me is like, oh, you can offer exclusivity and like people will love that, but like people don't really care. Like,
they just want lead
exclusivity. Yeah, they just want leads and they want results. So it's like, even if you run, 5 people that are in the same area, it's like a lot of times they're not going to be able to handle the amount of people that are going to need the service there anyway. Right. So it's like, it's kind of that, it's just a misconception that a lot of people run into. So,
and like, if they don't go work with you, they're going to go work with someone else. That's how I thought about it. Like, okay, I don't have a client in the area. Someone else probably has that area open. They're going to work with them. Like, why not work with me? Like, give me your money, like that's just how I thought about it as well. As a big thing. Yeah.
Cool, man. So what's, moving forward. So I guess remind me, the record month up to this point was March. What was the final number?
It was April, actually. April, I did 70.
Oh, April.
Yeah. And 70. And the big thing, that was the profit on that. That was like 50K profit or more. Like,
nice
operating profit. That's it. A lot of people talk about like revenue. Like,
like,
I know some friends doing a good amount of revenue, but no profit there. Some even don't.
Yeah, it's like, so revenue is like an imaginary number, in my opinion. And it's like, it's funny because people will talk about like, oh, I hit 100 grand a month. It's like, well, what was your cash? And like, well, like 20. It's like, what? Why are you saying 100 then? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's a big thing as well.
So breakdown. So if we're breaking down the numbers, so you come in at end of February, you're doing how much then? 10K?
Yeah, 10K a month. And 10? That was with like barely any profit. Because like, that was barely any profit.
So what was profit then out of the 10?
So like 5, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
okay, so 50%. So yeah, not ideal, especially at that level, right? Like when you're at 10K, you want to be at like 90%. Like, So okay, so 10K, and then March you hit 57.
Yeah, 57.5.
Cool. So 57.5. April you did. So like, what are the subsequent months after that? So, and I guess what was so you hit 70 in April. What has been the process like average since then?
Average since then is now like 50, 55. This month I'm trying to push for 100. I just need to fit, like, once these ads get fixed, like it's pretty easy to scale. Like, I literally just need to fix my ads. That's all it is. The fulfillment is good and it's like getting better and all that. And yeah, the sales is going good. I'm closing at a high rate. I literally just don't have enough calls on my calendar. That's all it is. But yeah, it's
Mm,
average about 50. And that's what, like I said, that's with like 30K plus a month of profit consistently. So, I mean, still a good
nice.
living, but like, obviously, I mean, I don't really want to settle for that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So on that note, what is, so let's say if we're talking like the next 6 months, next 12 months, what is what are some of the main goals that you have in mind
I want to be doing 1 million a month by the end of next year. I think it's doable. I mean,
by the end
and
of 2025?
yeah, it's doable. Just spend
Yeah,
more on
dude.
ads.
Spend more on ads, bring on some
Yeah,
closers, bring like it's
yeah,
that's the beauty of it, dude, is like, even back when I was in, when I had my own agency, very similar to, kind of the mindset is, and, obviously the industry has changed a lot as well. Like if we
yeah,
look back at 2017, 2018, it's like the goal, like the main goal, like you said, was like 10K a month. Right. And then it's like it would go like higher and higher. People are like, oh, like 50K a month, 100K a month. And then there was like very few people that can crack, the million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, like, and onward. So it's like, yeah, it just, when you fully understand that it's a game of just fixing bottlenecks. And it's like you can
yeah,
get to, 1 million a month with a pretty, I mean, I wouldn't say super lean, but like relatively
yeah,
lean team, like maybe a couple closers, couple setters, and some fulfillment. And that's, I mean,
yeah.
that gets you to 1 million a month. So I think, as obviously as long as the market is big enough and from what it sounds like, you have a pretty big TAM. So I don't see there being
The TAM's
any
kind of
any
small. I
bottleneck.
will say that the TAM is actually kind of small. It's like one of the smaller. It's like 15K, 20K at most, probably. But
Yeah.
there actually is one guy in the space that runs a marketing agency that does over 1 million a month, which is really weird because like most agency niches don't have people doing 8 figures, and for some reason this niche does. There's like
Yeah.
one guy that does like 8 figures plus in this, so I mean, definitely it's possible.
Yeah, exactly. As long as there's one person on there and like, 15,000, I mean, if you just do the math of the amount of people you need to bring per month, I mean, it's not, or I'm sorry, per year, it's
Yeah,
not, or no, I'm sorry, per month to hit the million a month. It's not, it's not massive.
yeah,
So, down the line, maybe, I don't know, maybe you open it up into, a different like sub market that's relatively similar and,
yeah,
help those people. But, really like until, I mean, 500 grand a month, like you shouldn't really even look. I don't want to give you like coaching other than what Temple would give, but like, you know,
yeah,
not diversifying too soon. Cause that's what a lot of people start to do is they see like shiny objects. They're like, oh, like there's these low ticket communities or this, like this other industry that I can go after. And it just, it kind of ruins the focus. So anyway,
yeah.
cool. Million a month. And then, so do you have a closer set it right now?
Just me.
Cool. You said you're still trying to like fill out your calendar too. So you'll be able
Yeah.
to
I
get
think
that.
people hire closers really early as well. Like I know some guys that have like hired closers at like 30K a month. It's like no good, like, how do you get it? How do you even have a good closer to like do that? Like, what do they do like every
Yeah.
day? It's like someone just hire so early. I want to do the exact opposite. I want to hire as late as possible.
Yeah. And because at the end of the day, like you have to be able to like have like be a good salesperson. Like you said earlier with Cole, it's like he got to 250, 250, 300 grand a month by himself. Like he was the closer, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then when you get really, really good at it, you build up you build up your call recordings, you build up your
Yeah.
understanding of the process, and then you can like accurately teach as opposed to, like you said, like people, if you bring on closers too early, is a lot of times you're not a good closer yourself. And then you can't lead a closer to be good if you're not a good closer,
Yeah.
and like they just, and they don't understand how to, look at what the bottleneck is and figure out what the issue is in the sales process. So,
Yeah.
cool, man. I think I mean, that leads us to where we are today. So I think one of the main things I want to do with you is like, in 6 months, let's jump on another, another interview and see
Yeah.
where you are. Maybe, cracked 500K by then. We'll see.
Yeah.
So last couple of things, what would you say to someone that is, they're maybe in the process of, talking to our team or, they're talking to, one of the closers or advisors or whatever. What would you say to someone that's on the fence of jumping into STA?
I mean, obviously, I just tell them to do it. I mean, like, I think this is like, you have to make educated, like, the way you should make decisions is just like, obviously, like, what's going to be the best for me? Like, you don't want to make emotional decisions. And so, like, I think the way to think about it is like, I heard this from Tanner Church once. It's like there's three things to look at. There's like experience, specificity, and attention, right? So it's like experience. I mean, look how much money these guys make. I don't even know at this point. You guys are like growing so fucking fast. So you guys made a ridiculous amount of money, more than basically anybody else out there. You have specificity. You guys do it in this industry, And you guys work just with people in this industry, which is well something not a lot of people do. And then attention. That's really, I think, a big thing. There's a lot of programs out there now that is just a course that is group coaching, etc. You definitely want that, but you like also want one-on-one. Like I think one-on-one sport's been like the biggest thing for me. And I think like going forward, that's like I'm only gonna buy programs like that. And if I even like something I'm thinking about doing now is like something I'm going to start doing is literally just instead of buying programs, just straight up going to people I want to learn from and just paying them for one-on-one time. Like I think like so the fact that you get like all of that like in STA and like I mean you guys know your price point's ridiculously cheap. I mean yeah, it's like just look at that. But I think experience is probably honestly one of the biggest things. Like so many of these guys are just so unqualified. You know, like yeah, just so many people are unqualified. They don't even do what they're trying to teach you anymore. And even if they did, like they didn't get it up. Even if they do, they're not at any sort of like absurd point. Like it's pretty hard to find someone that makes more money than Cole in this kind of industry, you know. And if you can, like they're not going to be selling a program like STA. You know, they're doing other things.
Yeah. Cool, man. I appreciate that. Any, well, actually, let me do like a quick outro super quickly. And then what I want you to think about in, 30, 45 seconds is understanding that the people watching this are probably, they have a course or they're wanting to start a course or they have a business, just something that you can give off to them as like a golden nugget, like just something that they can take away. So think about that as I do this outro super quick. So for those of you that are listening, I mean, this is episode number 1. So we'll see who this gets in front of. But if you're someone that is, you have a current business, you're thinking about starting a business, like Oliver was talking about, like we have our sales process is very consultative. Like if you want to jump on a call with us, cool. If not, that's fine too. But at the very least, you can leave the call with us if you decide to do that with tangible information of like how you can actually grow. So if you want to do that, there'll be a quick video down in the description on the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast app, it'll be down in the show notes. You can click that, check out the video. Again, book a call with our team if you want to. If not, that's all good. But dude, what you got for the beautiful people listening?
Yeah. Well, I do agree, by the way. He's not lying to you. He's not like some of these people that tell you like it's a, advisory call, like a strategy session. Like this, they actually, their calls are like actually like kind of coaching calls almost. Really helpful stuff. But yeah, biggest thing I'd say it's super basic. Like just focus on marketing and sales. I mean, at least obviously depending on your revenue level, but I think like just so many people like just like overcomplicate, like people that don't make any money or people that make like 10K a month, 20K a month, they're like focusing on product, like low ticket or like new funnels. It's like you need to just sell. You need to just market more. That's pretty much it. Like the high ticket model works. People like I think a lot of people as well believe that like saturation is real and like it's saturated. This isn't working more. I need a new opportunity. Every opportunity is the exact same. Like literally doesn't matter. Like unless you're making millions a month, like maybe then your opportunity matters. But like to make like 100 in a month, 200 in a month, make a couple hundred in a month, like I guarantee you can do that in any opportunity vehicle. Like there's no specific opportunity you need to be able to do that. Right. So it's like I think a lot of people just need to understand that the basics work. You just need to get good at them. And the basics are just marketing more and selling more.
There we go. I think that puts a perfect bow on, I mean, just the overall name of the podcast, Scaling Less Stupid. And I'm glad that you kind of like affirmed that. And I'm like, okay, this is like actually a pretty good name. So thank you guys for hanging out. If you want to check out anything about Oliver, if you're maybe someone that was interested in his offer and want to work with him, obviously we'll leave his links down in the description below. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening to episode number 1. We'll see you guys in the next one. Talk soon. Peace.